Just kind of waiting for the advertising to get done here, as always. Okay, here we go. Another day, more Invicta courses. Went through a handful of them yesterday. Today we're going to start off with Iditarod. What's the official name of this one? Iditarod Golf Course, Ruby, Alaska, by Jivesonator. So this guy's gotten some pretty good pub off of it just in the comments that have been out to the side as I've been playing through. People have been talking to him about it being a winter theme and it looking good. Sorry, my brain's working slow this morning. That would be the one. 45 plays, 7.8 rating, so still holding on to a pretty solid rating through the first 50 plays. Some pretty intimidating scores right there given the quality of the players I'm seeing on the board right there. So most of these are designers actually in the, well, can't say most, but several of these are designers are in the contest, but others are, I mean, there's 1, 2, 3 legitimate PGA players, 4. Everybody's kind of shooting low. It's the low score on this one on PS4 thus far is -9. Looks like there's a little bit of difficulty attached to this one. We'll give it a check and see what we got. If Catcherman's only shooting 5 under on it, then I'm due for a par or over par. Just getting a little bit fancy on the bunkers and such. Very wide open back here. Gives you a good shot of the mountain. Feels almost a little bit too wide open, but that's just that's the me thing. No real planting or anything else going on. Just some trees. We'll see if that becomes a theme throughout or what's going on. There's nothing wrong with some minimalistic planting, but you still want to give it a little bit of a feel in around certain things. So. Some solid bunker sculpting going on there. It's 470-yard hole, so we're going to have a longer second shot. Not a horrible green for that. You'll be somewhat limited on your pin placements depending on the conditions, but I have no clue whether this is firm or not. I'll tell you what, with that change in elevation, seems like well, let's give it a rip and see what we're dealing with here. I'm probably going to be in the rough on this one, but yeah, surprised that didn't carry all the way down there. Like he put his yardage markers in. Looks like he's got rakes laying around, which we talked about this yesterday on a different course. I'd be a little bit more keen on those rakes being kind of on the back of a bunker. I don't like them being in places where they actually come into play. They become an unintentional hazard, so it's just something to keep in mind. That's just a me thing. It's usually not a good idea to put them in areas where they could possibly come into play. Okay, I have no clue if these are firm or what the conditions are, so we're about to find out. Looks like medium firmness from right there. Hard to tell with that particular shot, but 142, so slower greens. So if they are firm, then he's counteracted some of the rollout with the speed. Interesting shape to the bunkers right there. Don't know how I feel about it, but here's what it is. This could be a lot smoother right here. He's done a nice job with his actual shapes that he's used on his fairways. Just kept them nice and neat on that. This hill could be a little bit less severe. I'm not sure it necessarily fits right there, but that's just my opinion. Just a little bit too stark. I like what he's done with the textures in around the bunkers. He at least hasn't just like put his fairway down and then just smacked a bunker down the middle of it. He's actually got some rough going around it, so that works out. Those could be a little bit more dynamic by where they're sitting. You could actually ridge one side of it, let it play off a little bit different, but that's not a technical thing. That's a me thing. Well, not a bad looking hole. I don't mind minimalistic planting on courses. I really don't. This one feels like it needs something. It feels like there's something missing in the looks department and around some of these, just big, wide open holes. Whether it be bringing the tree line up a little bit closer to the fairway or whatever. I mean, you don't have to go crazy with grasses and flowers and such, but altering the tree line a little bit on this would have framed this hole just a little bit better, in my opinion. I can't get the thing to do it. I can't tell, but it looks like this tee box is on a slant. Yeah, it's usually a better idea to go ahead and flatten these tee boxes off. It looks like he had them flat, and when he was adjusting his terrain around here, he just copped the edges. But when you use those soft brushes to pull it, it drags the other side down. So for a competition, just try to make sure you've got this area up here perfectly flat. That is something that we have found through past experience that judges tend to snap onto pretty quick. Still not sure about the purpose behind this hill over here. I realize he's like trying to give it a shelf, but it just kind of stands out as a little bit unclean on that. It could have been a little bit smoother. I don't mind you having a raise in elevation, but you could have worked that terrain a little bit smoother down that hill. Let it not be quite so severe. But damn, I am not driving well at all today. It's not a bad green for the hole. You're not going to have a lot of variety in your pinning if you were to multi-pin this. You'll have the one pin up here, which would definitely make you think about some course management. I mean, with this length, the chances of you going for the green and two are pretty slim, but even if it was a possibility, you'd probably not take that on. You'd have to have some really strong tailwinds to bring that into play. But beyond this, I mean, you're just going to be running that pin location where it's at, probably one like right over in here and one closer to the front. So, and they're all just about the exact same play, just a little bit different distance. So it's not a lot of variety in the green, but not a huge deal. These feel like, I have not gotten a confirmation on this, but they feel like they're firm greens with slow speeds. Yeah, I'm not sure. Sorry, I've got a message that just came in, so we got an issue going on with some of the judging right now. But actually, this has to do with the 19th hole podcast. So 6:30 Central on Thursday. I'm not crazy about that time, but that's what it is. So we've got firm conditions, slower speeds. Okay. What do you say, Clint? What do you say, Yelts? What do you say, Royce? Good morning, fellas. Or good afternoon for you guys across the pond. Now he's bringing some planting into it. Something else that I want to look at on this. 461, 230, 475, 206. I'm not going to lie, this course is almost way too long for firm conditions, even with the lower speeds. I haven't played through it, to really get an average of the score, but when you look up and down and you're consistently 230 on a par 3, 206 is marginal. I mean, that's about the extent of how far you want to make par threes on firm conditions. Even with slower speeds, you start working against what's going on. I mean, I understand wanting to make a more difficult course, but damn, man, 470, 461, 481, 477. I mean, you got to realize 447 is not a short hole in this game. So when you have that many par fours over 450 yards on firm conditions, I don't consider that to be a great design decision, but that's just me, man. I work in firm conditions a lot. That's what most of my courses are. And if you're really wanting to go firm, I don't care what your speed is. If you're wanting to go firm, you have to sacrifice some of the damn distance. It gets a little bit monotonous through a round for me. Especially depending on your pin locations. This could have been a lot smoother right here. That's a little bit of a rough contour on this. There's a way to pull this off and it not look quite as stark as what it does, especially given this tee shot. This has a feeling that I'm screwed regardless of how I go on this, so. Well, we'll just agree to disagree again, Yelts, because, sorry, man. I find it hard to believe that too many firm courses are going to play really great at that kind of length. I agree that it depends on it, but I mean, when the overwhelming majority of your holes are well over 450 yards, that just becomes, on firm conditions, you're just asking for trouble. And it depends on pin locations as much as anything, because if you go with that kind of distance and you start trying to shorten your pins up and put them up towards the front of your greens, I mean, it just doesn't play well. Yeah, it really just depends. I don't care if they're in the same direction or not. I'm talking about the fact that all of those are going to be 180 yards or more on your second shot, and how you're going to have to play them in. And it just, I just don't think it makes for a great experience in golf. But like I said, that's all opinion. Yep, you're absolutely right. Some of them will be into the wind, some of them will be back, but the fact of the matter is, you're still playing 180-yard shots over and over and over again into greens where you're going to get rollout. So I don't know why you guys have to argue with me sometimes. You guys can have your opinion and I can have mine. You will never, ever, ever make me not think that having the overwhelming majority of your holes on a firm course over 450 yards is a great design decision. And I'm sorry, I almost exclusively design in firm, and that's the biggest complaint that people have with firm conditions when they play these on tour, is the fact that they're not built for firm conditions. And that's one of the reasons why right there. They have to be, you've got to sacrifice some of your distance to make it not feel mundane. Sorry, man. You're more than welcome to your opinion, but you're not going to make me change mine. What do you say, Michael? And this is a good example right here. This is a 240-yard par 3 on firm greens. I perfectly understand. He slowed the speeds down, so it kind of controls the rollout somewhat, but on firm conditions, this is not a good design choice, especially when you only have a green this size. So ultimately, what you're going to end up doing is either playing way short and flopping it up there or pitching it up there to save par, or you're going to be trying to chip from out here somewhere and get it close. This hole does not work for firm conditions. Man, like I said, you can have your opinion and I can have mine. I'm not talking rubbish. As a course scheduler, I deal every single week with what people bitch and complain about. When people talk about firm courses, ruining the game and everything else, have you not been a part of any of those conversations? Have you not read anything on the board about this to where we actually had a moratorium where we cut out firm courses completely? This is why. This is why we can't use firm conditions, because people don't design their courses based on what they're trying to do with their greens. I design in firm, man. I know what works. I know what doesn't work. You really shouldn't be toying with 245-yard holes, because this is what you get. God, I was clubbed way down. I can't hold the green on that shot. My only play is to land it short and try to let it roll up, and that's not a consistent play in this game. It might work for you guys on the PGA, but for most people it doesn't. I don't understand why people can't have different opinions from other people. I allow you yours. If you disagree with me, fine, but quit trying to call me out and make me sound stupid when I probably know as much about this as you do. Good God, man. I know you're a good designer and everything, but you're not a goddamn encyclopedia. This is not a good hole design. We're getting so far off base right here. I don't care what works in real life compared to this game. I really don't. I have played plenty of par threes in real life that are 240 yards, 250 yards, and it can work there. It's a completely different type of shot. We're comparing this to TGC. We're talking about TGC and how the ball physics work on the greens, how the ball plays, and everything else. Pulling up real life courses and saying what works in real life, if I'm staying on a tee box, is completely inconsequential to what we're doing right here. That's just a silly damn argument to try to use on this. I hit the ball a lot further in real life than I hit in this game. I mean, this right here is a 576 yard par 5. I would probably blast this 300 yards or further off the tee. So I could potentially get this ball on the green in 2, depending on what's laying around. So that's not what I'm saying, Yelts. You're too busy trying to argue against my point to listen to what I was actually saying. As far as how the course goes, I'm going to pull this back up one more time. Granted, I already said, I preface this by saying, I don't know how this course plays. I haven't had a chance to play it. What I can tell you is they're firm conditions. He has slowed the speeds down, the green speeds down, to counteract some of the roll. That's a good design decision. But I've got a par 4, 470 yards, 587 par 5, 461 yard par 4, 230 yard par 3. I don't care about the distance on the par 5s. They are what they are. 206 yard par 3, 430 yards, which is not exactly a short hole in this game, then 450, 439, back up 447, 477, 457, 481. All of these are par 4s, man. You think that's a good variety of shots on firm conditions? As somebody that is actually known as a good designer, you think those are good design choices? That's all I'm saying. It's trying to take me completely out of context. For firm conditions, it's absolutely too long. I'm talking about overall general length. If you want me to go back to like the 230 yard par 3, if you really want to use that kind of distance, then elevate it some. Make it more elevated. Give it a little bit more contouring. Number one, give me a bigger green. That was one of my biggest issues on it. If you want to see if I can actually pull back to the hole, this is the main issue that I have with this hole right here. At that length, okay, you've given me 230 yards in firm conditions. That in of itself isn't bad, but look at the size of the green, man. Where are you going to pin that for 230 yards? You move it up here, you still got 220 yards into it. The green doesn't fit the shot. This needs to be a much bigger green, and it probably needs to have a little bit more slope from the backside of it to the front. So you at least give the player a chance to control a little bit of the run out and actually play a shot. Right now, it's pick what you think is going to do the least amount of damage, get up here and pitch and chip for par. That's what this hole is. So do I think this is a good design? Nope, absolutely not. I don't think it fits the shot. I don't have a problem with the course. I don't think it's a bad course at all. It's got some nice looks to it. It's very clean. I like to see a little bit more planning on it, but it looks a little bit stark here and there. I like some minimal style courses. I don't do a lot of planning on mine, but I at least bring something into play on it. But all in all, it still looks good. I like the lighting. This may play like a dream, and it may be perfect for PGA or Euro and how it plays and everything else, but it's just getting excessively long for what you're doing with the conditions. That's all I was saying. God, you guys are acting like I'm attacking the guy left and right. I'm not. My last point on that was that from a scheduling standpoint, that where most people start getting pissed off at firm courses that they're so long, that when designers create firm and fast conditions, that they have a lot of holes like this. They're just super long, and you're having to play, your long irons into them all the time, and there's really not a lot of play into that. There are smart ways to do it. Man, I really don't know if I can make it over there with this wind or not. Well, we're going to try it. Well, a lot of the ones that were on web last year were courses that were designed in medium firmness, and then they made them firm to try to make them more difficult, and that's usually a recipe for disaster. Once again, I'm not a fan of that either. Yeah, if you're going to have a course play firm, you actually need to set it up as firm from the beginning. I'm not a big fan of creating it medium and everything else and getting your greens working where they want to and then cranking up the firmness. It usually just doesn't translate very well. But well, hopefully that's something that's coming in the next one, Royce. Hopefully that's coming in TGC2 where we have some ways to set our course up a little bit. Now, I don't mind this one nearly as much. We got a little bit more of a green to work with given the shot. I mean, your typical landing area is still going to be like down here, so you get limited where you're going to put your pin placements. There we go. So when people talk about the 4-footers I miss, those are the 4-footers I miss. For whatever reason, when you catch me on a big slope like that, I just can't make that damn putt. I either put it too hard, not enough. I'm done with this debate, Yelts. I really am. I don't see any more reason to get into it. It's taken away from what we're doing right here. I schedule for CC Pro. I schedule for CCM. So I don't mind firm courses. I use firm courses. I am limited on the number of firm courses that I can use. For CC Pro, I can basically do one a month. I do use them, but I try to make them make sense. Some more questionable than others. I'm using a firm course this week for a major. I'm actually using Spartina 2. It's probably a little bit more than what I wanted it to be, but we actually had that one slotted for this since last year when Eric was still co-scheduling with me. So it just depends on the course. But I'm just at that point that you can have your opinion and I can have mine. We don't have to agree on everything, but I'm not going to take away from what I'm doing here to have a debate on firmness, man. I like Spartina. Some of the CC guys aren't digging it too much because it is firm and they just don't know how to play firm. And it's catching up to them, but I mean, hell, if they want to play on web and PGA or Euro, they're going to have to learn how to play those conditions. This is a weird tee shot right here. Well, yeah, ultimately we want to be able to use these courses. So we want 4 different pin locations on these. There's not a difficulty standard on this. As a matter of fact, I've got it worked out with Dale and Rod and the web guys that we're going to have a lottery on who picks what courses and all that. There are going to be several of these on tour, so there's not a set difficulty level like there was with the Summer Showdown. But some stuff still needs to make sense. So yeah, this could very easily be a PGA or Euro level course, or even a web level. Doesn't mean I agree with design decisions. Oh man, there was no controlling that ball out of the rough right there. That was kind of a funky tee shot. So that was one that to really play that one as well as you could, you probably have to club down. I don't see driver being the play off the tee on that one. Right up in the rough over here, so your best bet's to lay up with the 3-wood right here, which once again brings about a 170-yard shot back into it. It's just lacking in some variety of hole lengths and such for me. So, I mean, he's done a great job with his green speeds and such, controlling the rollout. And that's something that some designers do not do when they create firm courses, that they feel like they have to be 175 or above and make them firm and fast. And sometimes keeping them down here around this 150 mark is the better play because it allows the player to control the rollout a lot more. So he has done a good job with that. He's also got really clean brushes on his fairways. That's very noticeable. I can appreciate that. Well, I'm starting with this one, and if you guys don't give me a damn coronary, then I'll probably go on to Moe's course after this one. That's the next one up on the list. Not gonna lie, not a big fan of the tree right there. Not a big fan of the tree at all, especially on a 450-yard shot. I personally don't think that adds anything to the hole at all. Wow. Yeah, it's too pinch for what it is. It's not a good hole from that aspect. That's manufactured difficulty. This one just ran right over the outside of the cup. That's a good looking tee shot right here. I like this one. Like to see a little more planting off to the left. The tee box is right there where that is. Just think just add a little bit of character to it. Like I said, I don't mind minimalist planting, being conservative, but this is lacking just a little bit in the planting department. So 431, we're going uphill. So once again, we're going to make this another long shot. So even the ones, see, this is where I start talking about. So even the holes that play shorter, we're making them play longer. So we're ending up at the same shot over and over and over on this course. See what I'm talking about? So, I mean, this is kind of what we're playing. Just bring your driver and your long irons, and you'll be okay on this one. Good Lord, I don't even know where my landing area is on this one. It seems like we're starting to get away from some of the bunker shapes that he started the course with, so. I mean, it's debatable, Yelts. It depends on what you're looking for, man. I mean, for me, I'm not finding a lot of variety in it because even on the holes on the scorecard where they play shorter, and you're thinking like, okay, maybe I get a little break here, then he's still forcing me into a long iron into it. So the 430 yard hole just played exactly the same as the 465, 470 yard hole. Yeah, exactly. Without winds, you just never know. It gets a lot more brutal with that. So, but it's, I mean, different strokes for different folks. I know a lot of people really like this course. I'll be the first to admit it's very clean looking. He's got a lot of technical things he's done really well on it. I am not a big fan on the distances. I think I made that quite clear. There's just no variety in this course so far. I mean, this one has stick it in the rough written all over it. So, with it being a par 5, 640 yards at that, I don't mind doing that. So, 640 yards, it means I can still at least advance the ball far enough to get par. So I mean, it's definitely a course that I think will fit the needs for PGA or Euro. This might be a good web course as well. It's definitely not something I put on CC, but that is what it is. And don't get me wrong, it's not playing horrible. I really don't have playability issues with it, with the exception of a couple of greens being a little bit too small in my opinion. But my main problem is that first par three. I mean, if you want to have a firm course and you want to have a shot that long for a par three, that's fine. Just make your green fit it. That's where I consider it to be a poor design choice, is that it just wasn't big enough to accommodate the shot. And it's definitely not big enough to accommodate multi-pinning. You can't move that pin any closer than what it is on that hole. And it be very realistic, or where people aren't going to be shitty about it. This isn't a bad long par 5 right here. And I actually like seeing some of these par 5s that are 600 yards plus. I have no problem with some of these. It's just not a, you don't see par 5 and it's a given birdie at that point, you know. So, no problem with longer par 5s at all. It's nice to have a couple here and there that you can actually have a shot to go 4 and 2, but not all of them have to be. This is playing firm, so I'm going to want to be about right there. Yeah, he'd have to. And granted, I don't necessarily think about where the tees are, you know, and how he would use different tees. This would also be a good candidate of a course to change the conditions over different days. So have a day that plays, have a couple of days actually that play medium. So have 2 days that play firm, 2 days that play medium. I think it could be very successful doing that, because then you can make use of some of the length off this and make it play quite differently. Not quite as penalizing. Another 4-foot putt miss because of the goddamn slope. Damn. I won't make this one either. You can count on it. I don't know what there is in my head about this distance. 4 feet with this kind of slope, I never make this damn putt. You put me at 3 feet, 5 feet, 6 feet, or 7 feet, and I'll make it 9 out of 10 times. But at 4 feet, I never make these. I'm always high or low. God, I'm surprised I made that one. I had to go see a sports psychologist about that putt right there. Yeah, I mean that's a fair point, that he can use different tee boxes to change the length of these. So there is that. And it's something I hadn't even thought of, because I don't really look at these based on where the tee boxes can be. I look at them based on what's given to me here. Another 200 yard plus par 3. So, I mean, we got a theme going here. We definitely have a theme. This is where a little bit of planting could help him on this, is that while there's some great views going on, he's done a lot of good things, it just leaves a lot of very stark wide open. And that's not always a bad thing. I just don't know that it fits this course as well. Like I said, I'm a big fan of minimalistic planting, but this one needs a little more something. Especially given this theme and what you can do with the frost-colored grasses, you can make this look really sharp with that silver-tipped long grass and stuff. Oh, I usually play these multiple times. These are just my stream throughs. Once I get done with this, I'll go back through these courses at least 3 times a piece. So I've got a lot of playing ahead of me. Something funky going on with the first cut right here. Not really sure what that's all about. It's kind of odd, especially with this being a. What am I looking at? So I've got T-box 1, 2, and 3. He's got it pinned 4 tee boxes right there down the red tee. So this is supposed to be a cut of fairway, but it's weird. It's very weird. But so here we go again. 454 yards. So we're still at 450. That's our magic mark, but we're uphill 43 feet. So depending on your wind, you're trying to bring a wood into play on this one. I just don't get it. Yeah, I will have more in-depth comments on these courses once I've played them all multiple times. Usually when I try to do the streams like this, I like to do them where I haven't played them at all, so I'm giving my first impressions on what I'm seeing. So my opinions do change on courses the more I play them and the more I get info into it. But yeah, I mean, if you get any kind of wind in your face, then all of a sudden you're back to a wood on this one. So, but we're playing with, our short irons. It's not a lot of 189. We're just not much variety in the shots, man. I think that's the biggest downfall of this course is that I'm playing the same shot every freaking time. And not only are we putting that kind of distance on it, we have to also make sure that we give like some funky ass pin positions too. So as far as the sloping, this is completely unnecessary right here. Sorry, Josh. Nice looking course and everything, but this pin is, this is obviously stuck there hard for the sake of hard. That's all in the world this one's here for. How that went in, I have no clue. I was just trying to leave it up there close so I didn't have 4 feet. I'm not a big fan of intentionally trying to screw people on 3-foot putts, but that's just me. I know it sounds like I'm being harsher on some things that I'm not trying to sound as harsh as what it is, but we got started off to a rip-roaring start on this one. So, well, he's giving us a little bit of a break on this one because we've got a downhill hole with a lot of length, but it's still going to play the same the same links that we've been playing. Well, I actually try not to be harsh. Part of it is because I'm early in the morning and I'm not into my day yet. I'm a little bit cranky. And you guys get me like rolling for a little bit. Once again, here we are. It's either going to be a 4-iron or a 5-iron. Pretty much every shot. It's almost on cue. So I can't club down to play this the correct way. I cannot play up from down here because the sloping give me a very shallow pin location for this length of shot. I mean, where are you trying to get me to play this? Because now then, I'm more than likely going to end up down here. It's almost... I just don't see how you play this hole without the ball being down here. So leave yourself a screwy putt down here. You might get lucky if you play a shape shot to hit here and it roll up far enough on that, but with this wind, it's not very realistic. I mean, this is not a great pin position for this. I would argue the green doesn't even necessarily fit the shot. This part down here is fine. I think a pin would play great down here, but when you start getting up on this area right here, it's too shallow. This needs to be further back. You can take some of the width off of it over here and make this deeper going back this way, and I wouldn't have a problem with it, but this is not a great pin location. Golly. Wow. Yeah, I mean, this is what the shot is, trying to play the rough, not the bunker. You're trying to play for the rough or play for a shitty uphill putt. So, I don't know. I'm just going to hit it and see where it goes. I mean, that's my play. If I play out to the other side, I had the right distance on it, but if I play it out to the other side, then I'm going down the hill that way. So, yep. I don't play with charts and high lofting and stuff like that, so I'm out of the loop on that. Now we get like a short par 4. I think. Wow, look at that green. Woo! Mercy. So on this one, I either club down playing iron to right here and have this shot. I mean, with a tailwind, you can conceivably go for it. I might be able to hit that and bounce it off that hill and see what happens, but if that does happen. Yeah, I'm not crazy about this one. Just with the hill and the way it's made. But, I mean, it's a nice change of pace. Don't get me wrong. I'm nice to actually have a different shot for a change, but I'm actually going to try to drive this just to see what happens here. No, I'm not, because I know what's going to happen. I know what's going to happen. Yeah, bunker would work. I mean, I like good short par 4s where there's some risk reward involved in it. I mean, granted, in this game, a lot of times you are going to give up a birdie in it, but they can be a nice change of pace. They really can. Say, Clint. Yeah, wind will make this play completely different. Completely. Well, I mean, that kind of was the save area. I mean, I played that way short. I just played an iron off the tee and still birdied the hole. So I mean, it gave me a chance to at least manage it. I don't have a problem with that. I don't know that the hill works in that because it blocks off so much of the view of what is otherwise a pretty nice green complex and view. But you know, back to 457. You could do a better job of raising that bunker that's down there to give you a view of it off the tee. Nice flat pan shot. Not only lets the TST guy know or TST guys know that it's there, but it also adds a little bit of character to the hole. Breaks up the sight line a little bit. The hell have we got going here? So we're 121, actually playing to 131. I mean, we definitely shortened up our par three. This one's missing something. This has a little bit different look to it. Whether it's giving a little bit of a view of the green from down here, an apron to at least let you know it's up here. This needs something else going on up here, Jives. I mean, it's a nice distance, nice layout with everything else, but the look of the hole just doesn't work. You need to find some way to actually work this in. It just feels very out of place right here. It was just a bad shot by me right there. And of course, with a firm green, we always want to run the ball off the green behind the pin. That's usually not a very good thing right there, especially when you've got this right in front of it. I mean, once again, you've got firm greens. Where are we supposed to land this ball right here? Because I mean, I guess your play is to take a shorter club and deaden it out, trying to de-loft it, trying to create run on it and run it up there, because on that particular shot, that is a straight up 9-iron with the wind and elevation, and if I loft it even a little bit, then I'm going to land short and roll right back off this. If I play it where it is, then given the little bit of rollout that I'm going to have, that's where our ball is going to go. So I would rethink that. It's never really a good idea to slope anything behind a pin downhill off the back of your green on firm settings, but that's just my take on it. I honestly, Royce, I don't know that you could deaden a pitching wedge right there, because even if you de-loft, well, a pitching wedge, number one, isn't gonna reach there. Pitching wedge is gonna land like right in here somewhere. So if I de-loft a pitching wedge, I'm going to land it a little bit further back and create run, but I don't know if it'll create enough run to get up that slope. I'd probably end up with my ball right here. And you got to keep in mind, I mean, that's 30 some odd feet uphill. It was 33 feet uphill into a 3-mile-an-hour wind. So pitching wedge, it's not going to get there. I mean, I guess the only thing you can do, no, it's actually not playing to 108. It was playing to like 120. It really was. It's playing like 118, I think is what the actual distance is. The hole may be 108 with the marker being like right here. That's probably 108, but this was like 118 or something like that, almost 120. Maybe even been 121 because when I mathed it out, it was like a straight up 9 iron to be at the pin. But once again, if I back off, if I loft it where I need to actually land it, I still don't think it'll hit it because I'll get a little bit of rollout, and as soon as it gets to the pin, it's gone. It's going to start rolling. So I don't know. Well, that's why I was thinking, Yelts, but my trick on that is that I de-loft 120, then my landing area for that 120 is going to be about right here where I'm at. So it's going to roll. Do you think it would keep enough speed to actually go up that incline? I really don't. I honestly think that it would stop before it made it up that hill, even with the 120. I have to play it some more and figure it out. That's something else I wish that we had the option to do on courses like this, is to be able to replay shots like you can do in the editor. That's something I'd take a lot of advantage of in testing courses out, because I could get a lot of different angles and different winds and such to see how things play. Right now I don't really have the ability to do so. It's not a bad hole. It's a little bit funky. I'm not bad or not crazy about the downhill slope behind the pin right there. That could have been flattened off, and it would have been sufficiently difficult for what's going on. But got a reachable par 5 here in theory, so it's playing downhill. So yes, that was actually planned. I felt like I could get it there by playing over the cart path. So I played that kind of cheap. Tree still got me. As much as I was trying to curve it around, that tree still got me, but that's okay. It's a good size green on that one to accommodate a potential, second shot going into there. Be curious to see. I have to play this a few more times too, because I played a cut shot into that, and it still went right up into that tree. And I played it out over this bunker with a little bit of a cut. And it just went straight into it. Maybe I didn't hit straight up and down. I don't know. It may just be the way it updates, Michael, because it doesn't like show up every time somebody plays it. It doesn't automatically like show the list right there. It only updates every once in a while. It's supposed to be like once a day or twice a day or something like that, but it doesn't always show up. So 478 yard par 4 playing uphill. So this is our finishing hole. Still not a big fan of rakes being in any kind of playable area, because if somebody does land over here, then I mean, it's just an unintentional hazard. I appreciate the concept behind the look for it, but it's not a fan. Couldn't get the damn club to go back. Surprised I hit that one straight. Damn, I think we've played this shot once or twice on this course, haven't we? Green could stand to be a little bit bigger. Only because if you've got a wind back in your face, this becomes a wood. Oh, it's damn near a wood now. Oh well. We're just going for par on this one anyway. Goodbye, ball. Well, we've got the back to front sloping on this one. Mercy me. Mercy me. Yeah, see some of the grass work he's got back there. That should have been one of those things that kind of brought across. So my take on that, I mean, it's a nice clean course. I think he's done a great job with his brushes and sticking to what he was going. I actually think it's a really good looking course. It could have benefited a little bit more with some of the grasses that he used in certain areas, like you can see in the background right now behind the summary right there. Those grasses in this theme actually look really good when they're put in certain areas. So I have no issues at all with the minimalist planting, kind of look. I do it quite a bit myself, but you got to incorporate something into it. There were a few holes that could have benefited from it because some of them just look kind of dead. Just something to bring a little bit of character into it. But other than that, really nice looking course with the way he uses brushes and most of the contouring and such. I questioned some of the length on this course because I felt like I was playing the same shot over and over and over and over and over again. With the exception of one hole, it felt like everything was the same damn iron or combination of a couple irons. Even though there were some different looks off the tee box where I had to like place the ball with the driver or something, just the overall length of it, all my approach shots felt pretty much the same. You know, I think that's a little bit of a downfall. So it'll be interesting to see how this course goes through on the judging. I know it's gotten some pretty good reviews and such on in the course thread. I'm not going to lie and say I share some of the same views as that. I think it's a good course. I don't think it's a great course. But that's just my personal opinion. But I think not knowing too much about Jives and his publishing history, I still think it was a very, very solid course put out, and I can see this on tour. I definitely think it's a tour-worthy course. It's just which tour it's going to go on. So there was a few things in the layout with the length and thing that was just a little bit off-putting. It actually played pretty well for being so long, and especially for the firm conditions. It actually played pretty well. It held shots and such, but it was just hitting the same shot over and over and over. But other than that, man, really good solid course come out. I expect you to do pretty well in the competition. It'll just be interesting to see what the judges say and where it goes from here. So other than that, guys, I'm going to take a quick break. I'll be back shortly to start up the next one. It will be Mo's course. So for all you guys that were wanting to see me play Mo's course, you think I'm going to have a meltdown, go ahead and spread the word. Let everybody know that it's coming. So, and yeah, I'll see you back here in about 5 minutes.